Good morning. Here we are, day 4, but we're going to cover 2 tools today. These are the final 2 tools that are mentioned in the influence effect. So here we go, the influence effect. We talked about a couple of tools. We talked about informal power, we talked about relationship maps, and yesterday we talked about scenario thinking. So those are the 3 great tools to use as you need to get influence, to stand out, to go above average. And why do you want to go above average? Because if you want to reach that upper suite, you want to get to the C-suite, you got to stand out. And you have to do that because you can be there, clock in, clock out. What's going to happen? Nobody knows you're working there. Even though they may pass by you every day, talk to you, they don't know what you want. So you got to work on that. You got to lead those projects when you're given. As I mentioned yesterday, when it's offered, you have to be receptive and you have to accept it. Stop thinking into the fact that you're not worthy. You don't have enough time. You will find the time. You will make it happen. Not because, well, you got to balance it. It's another big paycheck, bigger paycheck perhaps, or just more responsibility, more awareness. But it's the opportunity to take yourself to that next level, prepare yourself, build that bridge over the waters from one shore to the next, from where you're at to where you think you could be, where you want to be, where you're going to. Do you want to sink or do you want to take the bridge? I would rather take the bridge. I don't know about you, but welcome, Lisa, welcome. So here we go, influence loop. This is tool number 4. Now you might say, well, that's kind of silly. The book is influence effect, so influence loop, what is that? What's different about that? Well, we've touched on a number of these components, but before I get to them, I want to talk about what it does. So influence loop is a drive. You drive to a change. You change your mind, change minds in the room. How many times have you appeared in a room looking at people and you're about to present something or about to offer an idea and they're just wondering, why are they here? Or what are you going to say? What's my next on my agenda? I got to look at my Calendly. I got to go check my phone calls or emails. There were a number of meetings that I was in that people would just say, oh, I got to check my emails. Oh, I don't know. Can we get this done? I haven't been to my desk all day. And they rather focus on checking off emails out of their box because there might be something of value or something that requires their immediate attention that somebody hasn't called them or talked to them already about, instead of listening to this idea that would propel the company forward. So here we go. How do you do, or what do you do with influence loops? You use it to diffuse anxiety or test new ideas, to get feedback, get momentum. And we'll talk about tool number 5 in just a short bit, but it's a systematic process to get input from influence groups, from those that are, for instance, champions. Those are probably your boss and that person's boss. The people that are going to say, I'm behind this project at the highest levels in the company. You want those supporters. You want to hear their thoughts about this project that you might be leading, or your department, or your division, or just your team. There's times where being able to tap into the thoughts of the people that are looking for you to be, responsible and carry the torch, so to speak, or the baton forward. They've given you the keys to the group. Now go and take it forward. There's also key stakeholders. Who else has an interest in this project coming to fruition? Or it might be others that are on the periphery that if they were given a voice, they'd step up right behind. They might not have anything else to add, but as long as they're feeling included, they're going to be on your side. As I'm looking at my notes, This is a good point in the influence loop. We're really getting to it. It's, what are you doing? You're building a coalition. You can think back to the wars. We were talking about in those cases, the president said, we're building a coalition of nations. Because if you have, buy-in from a lot of people, large groups, it's going to move that project forward faster. It's going to get the buy-in that it needs. There's going to be less objections at the end. So here's the strategies. Build trust, identify the key stakeholders, prepare yourself, have face-to-face meetings, repeat, and use gift of the gap. Okay, so we've talked about building trust and identifying the decision makers, the influencers, the blockers, the advocates. Identify all those people. We've talked about that. So look back at yesterday's and the day before's videos, and those are the strategies in there that you can still do it. But the key here is also prepare yourself. Have it in mind what you want to accomplish. What's the outcome? Well, I want to have this aspect. I want to lead this project. This is the outcome. This is the perspective that we need to achieve. And if it happens, then this is what the result, how the organization is going to be better off. So what do I need to do in the meantime? I need to identify these key stakeholders. You need to have conversations. I need to devise this process. And really the bottom, the base of the plan is to take this view, take a straw man, so we'll call them straw man, you might call them something else, but this vision, put it out on a board, bring it into every meeting and say, okay, these are the things we know are consistent that we will have. Here's the things that we don't know. Here, let's put out what do you think about this proposal? So in the book, they use a discussion, a scenario of one company buying another, and the two HR departments, the two human resource departments, are brought together. They're going to need to be joined and in this new organization. So how are we going to support the new organization, the larger organization, with two teams, bring them together as one? What does that look like? So the leader went through the process of identifying all the pieces and laying it out in a nice graphic, and then taking that graphic into each department, each group that she met with, the two HR groups met separately to get their ideas and their thoughts and their objections, and then fine-tuned it, take it to the next group. That might be the key to the champions, and then onto the stakeholders, and then rotate through that process again and again until you're final, until you've realized, okay, this is as perfect as we can get it at this moment. I've got the objections handled. I've got the clarity around the vision. We're going to move forward with actual presentation to the full group and bring it all together, and then continue to work the process. Well, in there is the gift of the gap. And this is a great idea. It's stop, take a pause. So when things are getting anxious, when people are maybe frazzled or worn out, just take a break. There's other opportunities to come back to it. So take the moment, take a time to just allow it to marinate in people's minds. Maybe some people need that extra time. They need a little bit more time to think than being pressured in a meeting. So step away, break for the day, come back in a couple days, and then re-engage the groups to have this conversation. I think it's a great opportunity to up-level the attention to it, make sure that it's bulletproof as you can get it. And it also neutralizes the resistance. You're getting the feedback, you're securing the buy-in in each pass, and it's getting better and better. You're getting more feedback, and you're achieving the closure. What you want to be able to do is walk into your final presentation and say, here it is, here's what we're going to do, this is the plan, and everybody in the room says, yes, we're in agreement, let's go forward. A skilled influencer knows her organization and her organization's culture and navigates through it. So that's the purpose of the influence loop is if you know your organization, you're going to get further through knowing who has to be in the room, what their feedback, securing that buy-in, getting closure, and moving forward. So that's the influence loop. It's a valuable tool. We've done it multiple times with our clients and also in my past in the banking world where we created that continuous cycle to get feedback to say, this is our plan, this is our latest vision, and let's talk through it and make sure everybody is understanding it. All right. So with those thank you for Lisa for the notes on that part. Thanks for keeping up. For those that may be listening to this in recording, those that might be online live here, thank you. We're on to momentum, and momentum is going to be this tool that I think you'll see replay through to the other strategies that we talked about. There's this building from a nugget to something larger and something larger. It's the wins. You make the little wins and you get moving, and each win accumulates. So it's not individual. You get a win here and win there. No, they accumulate. So they build progress. They build the journey. Gets you, if you think about getting on a train, the momentum is the wheels start turning because the engine is powering, right? So you got the engine, and it's chicken and egg, which ones are going, but we know that the engine has to get going in order for the wheels to start turning, for the train to start leaving the station. And that's what this is about. Or you can think about if you like snow, like our friends up in the north, that one snowflake after another, after another, after another leads to a pile of snow. And if you get too much, you get an avalanche, right? So it's good and bad, right? But it refreshes, it sets up momentum for the next opportunity, the next set. There's 3 strategies with this. Center yourself. So get yourself focused on what is at hand. Focus in on what you're doing and get yourself situated so that you can attend to where you're at, where you need to go, and what steps are along the way. What are the things that you're going to have to focus on? And then just start focusing on the first small step. You can't get from this shore to that shore by jumping the creek, jumping the river, jumping the ocean, right? You need to focus in on taking a small step. So if we are to use the river, you might need a boat to get across because there isn't a bridge. Okay, now you need to find the boat and put it in the water and get in the boat. Oh, and make sure you have that paddle, right? And make sure you have maybe, some other things that you need for the journey. So you want to plan and prepare and get each one of those steps in succession so that you can get into that boat and paddle across. Get over there and paddle across and get to that other shore, right? But there's this third strategy is really to create the tipping point. So Malcolm Gladwell, who's an author and a few books that are really focused in on how we can take success and move it forward. He says tipping point is the moment of critical mass, the threshold, the boiling point. Water goes to steam at 212. At 211, it's at its hottest point, but it's going to tip over and become that next version of itself. So what's your next version? What are the next steps that you have that will tip you over, get you to that next place that you want to be? What could stall momentum? Surprises. So how well do you manage through surprises? Does your boss come in and say, boom, here's something we didn't plan, get on it. And you're just like, what? We didn't think about that. How do we balance this and still get this out? There were many times we were doing that. And then we said, okay, we've got this. We know the surprise. We understand the surprise. And we just need to attend to it. And we're back on the main thing. We get back to the main thing. Can you manage the surprise? Can you manage the change? Can you manage something that pops up that you weren't anticipating? There's a penny on the track in front of the train. Okay, so the train's going to go through that penny, no problem. But what happens if it was a bull? It might be, or a car. What's on the track? If you lack transparency, you're going to stall. If you have an unclear intent, or if you lack the strategy to get there, you're going to stall. So momentum is about, in business, increasing the rate of development of a process. I'm looking at my notes because there's just so much wrapped around momentum, and we barely have time to talk about it, because you can focus on your goals and you can start talking about how do you focus on the goals and how do you make momentum through goals. And we can talk about how to create this state of energy and this strategic forward movement, how you do all those things. There's a number of steps, more than what's in the book. We can talk hours on this stuff because it's customized to your environment, what you need, what you are looking to accomplish. These are the important things in your life, whether it's in your job, whether it's in your family, whether it's in your personal development. Momentum is important. Influence loops, relationship maps, scenario thinking, informal power. These are all great tools. To close up all of the tools we talked about and this review on this book, I leave you with John Maxwell's quote. He speaks into this moment. He says, momentum is really a leader's best friend. So momentum is a leader's best friend. Sometimes it's the only difference between winning and losing. If you are building momentum, you can be assured that you're not going to be losing. You're going to be working towards winning. Remember, it takes more than you. It takes a team. Who are the team players in your corner? Who are going to help you think with a flexible, with a nimble perspective? Who are going to be the people that are going to come alongside you and say yes, or advocate on your behalf, because they know that you have accomplished great things and that you have value and that you're bringing value. If you're growing, if you're developing, if you're using these tools in the workplace each and every day in some way to get further ahead, to get towards your goal, to get up into that C-suite, whether you're a woman, whether you're a man, these apply. But obviously, if you're a man and you're already in the C-suite, remember, there's people along looking to get there. So step in, mentor them. Take that moment to impress upon them how they can go further and farther, how they can live at the apex and live with the thought that there's something further beyond than just checking the boxes and saying, oh, I arrived. Getting to the C-suite is just one step. What you do there is important. What you leave there is important for the rest of the organization. Take this moment to figure out what you can do today to make momentum happen in your life. Take this moment to be the most wonderful aspect of yourself. You can do this. I know. I don't know your story exactly, but I know there's greatness within you. And I know that on this Friday, as you go into the weekend, and if you're watching this replay, as you go into that next moment, you can bring the greatness with you, tap into it, and share it. Lift others up. Make this the best day because you're building the influence effect. My name is Dutkiewicz, and I can help you reach that next step. Use the influence effect to get where you want to be, to bring that project together, to bring that team together, to bring that change into your world, to make a difference. And I encourage you to be well, do good things, keep in touch. See you soon.